What's going on, everyone? So today we've got a fun one. We've got GAR, SAXON, Yellow. A lot of you really wanted to see some more gameplay after I put out that video about Django Blue. And, well, GAR, SAXON, Yellow actually taking down a planetary qualifier just this last weekend. And so we're going to dive into some games, mess around with GAR, SAXON, Yellow, and figure out whether or not it's back. Before we dive into the deck and then play some games, a big thank you to my patrons over on Patreon, and also I have a TCG player link in the description down below. Be sure to check it out for all your Star Wars Unlimited card needs. Let's talk about GAR, SAXON, Yellow and see what is going on today. The question is it back? Is it going to be a deck that we actually are going to see some good stuff, or is it a little bit of a one of? I know GAR Sax is one of those leaders that has more of a niche popularity, and so this is a list that I am excited to see. It's a list that I played back in set 2, and with set 3, we've got 2 additions, at least in the Planetary Qualifier winning list. That is 1 Breaking In, 3 copies, but 1 new card, and then the other card is Perilous Position with a 2 copy amount. Breaking In makes a lot of sense. This is basically like Surprise Strike. You lose 1 damage, but you get the versatility of Saboteur. I know some people really like that versatility of Saboteur, and it really does pay off in some scenarios, right? Any sort of Sentinel you can bypass. If they have a 7th Fleet Defender, you could suddenly cut through it. Those types of situations are really valuable, so I totally understand why people are moving into the full 3 of Breaking In. I think it's actually one of the secretly best cards from set 4, or set 3 rather, in Breaking In, because of just how universal it is, how great it fits in all these different decks, and it's also a pretty nice common. Perilous Position, pretty obvious. It's just really good at interrupting people's tempo, really good at interrupting certain attacks that are really threatening, or just straight up killing things that go through shields. On top of that, we have the same shielded plan, and what I mean by that is we're basically playing all the units that get shielded when they come down. Super Commando Squad, Client, Evazan, Crafty Smuggler, 7th Fleet Defender, all get +1 power because of GAR Saxon. And then we have a little bit of some upgrades to synergize with them. We have Snapshot Reflexes. We've got Hotshot Blaster. Snapshot Reflexes go on vehicles, so even like your mercenary gunships or your 7 fleets, they can pump up even further. Your Hotshot Blasters can go on even something like Bazine to give it +3/+0, or it can go on a Toro to give it +3/+0. Toro specifically is really strong to get that, because if you do happen to have like that Boba Fett coming down, you can go ahead and reactivate their attacks and get in some damage with Toro. Although I will say we are very light on bounty hunters in this deck, and so if you do actually have the Boba Fetts, this might be a situation where Boba Fett is just better because you only have 2 bounty hunters in the main deck with this list. Something to consider there. And heck, even just seeing this now, Toro 2 copies, Boba Fett 1 copy, probably just filling in the gaps. But overall, pretty much the same list from set 2. A little bit of upgrade synergy, a little bit of an aggro deck, and we're going to see what we can do with GAR, SAXON, Yellow. All right, let's dive into our first game here. We got a hand with Dr. Evazan, which I do like, but it is double blue Obi-Wan, which means maybe a little bit controlling. So I'm not sure if I want it in this specific matchup. This is not a great hand either. I think I'm going to resource the Maclunky and one of these Waylays. I really hope for a little bit of a better option following this Bazine up, to be honest. If you didn't know, Carabas had a pretty significant update over, the past couple of days. And they got a Crafty Smuggler name. That's fine. We're going to go Bazine. They got Forces with Me and Restored Arc. I actually don't care about either of those cards, so I'm just not going to take anything. But that means that some of the text might be a little bit different, as you can see, and the servers are a lot better, which is really awesome to see as well. We're going to go ahead and see what our opponents got. Maybe we just Maclunky back the Bazine and play our Mercenary Gunship out, but we will decide. We have nothing to combo with this TIE Advance, which is a little bit unfortunate. And based on what they've got over there in their hand, I would have liked to have that Dr. Evazan on turn 1, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and just attack in for 1. Pow City, by the way, with the Obi-Wan Kenobi. So sacrificing the 4 HP to have Obi-Wan be a little bit stronger. Let's go with that Mercenary Gunship down into the Space Arena. And we're going to Maclunky back this Bazine to go ahead and kill that Restored Arc. And then we will go ahead and pass. Dr. Evazan is the card that we draw. It is not a very strong one at this stage of the game, especially. So we're going to go ahead and just resource that. And if they just go spend 4 resources to steal the mercenary gunship, I think I'll just steal it back. It's not a great play at all, by the way. It is just kind of a situation that we found ourselves in because we didn't get to put a lot of pressure on our opponent. Here, on the other hand, though, I will go Snapshot Reflexes to attack in for 5 with our Mercenary Gunship because they did end up playing that Kanan. And I will go ahead and play a 7-Fleet Defender, which is going to be a 4-powered unit. So I do like our spot now. Let's go ahead and pass. Got ourselves another TIE Advanced, which I think I'll just resource one of them. I do like TIE Advanced in a situation where we have the Mercenary or the 7-Fleet Defender. And if they, again, pay 4 resources to take that Mercenary Gunship, I will just take it back. And I think that's going to be a pretty fine play. We'll see what our opponent has. They probably have drawn a lot more removal options at this stage of the game. So I guess we will see what they've got. Super Commando Squad, not too bad, by the way. Can go ahead and actually trade with the Kanan with that shield token, giving it +1/+0, which is pretty nice. They're going to attack with Kanan. They're going to heal 2. We're going to attack with the Mercenary Gunship. And then I think we'll just attack with the 7th Fleet. Because we just want to get in damage. I know we can go TIE Advanced on the 7th Fleet and get in for an extra 2. But that could be risky, especially if they're like trying to see what they've got for, let's say, a removal option. I will go TIE Advanced now because we don't want to be in a spot where we have like this Super Commando Squad and then we're stuck behind a Sentinel. Breaking in, on the other hand, was an excellent draw. So I do love to see that. We can go ahead and actually get in an attack with GAR SAXON past the Sugi, which is why I like it. More so than even just getting in with one of these units. Our opponent has to have something. They needed something like a Vigilance here. Perilous Position is decent, but it's not actually going to stop us from really doing some work here. Let's go and attack in for 3. And let's go ahead and play out Bazine and see what our opponent has. They don't really have anything. I'm not going to take anything from their hand right now. So they can't quite get us down. They've got Yoda and they have Queel and they have a Razor Crest. So let's go ahead and get down GAR SAXON and we'll see if my opponent decides to attack it. I would be a little bit surprised to see if they decide to attack it. We do have that breaking in, as I mentioned, which means we're going to go Saboteur into their base for 6, and that puts them at 25 damage on their base, and they're going to need something pretty good to go ahead and close out this game. They got a lot of Sentinels in the ground, but we got a lot of space units, and that breaking in was pretty clutch. I know, again, in the previous turn, we could have gone with the TIE Advanced on the 7th Fleet to get an extra 2 damage, but I was expecting a lot more removal from the double blue Obi-Wan player. To be honest, we haven't seen any vigilances, no takedowns, no fell the dragons, nothing of the sort. And I mean, that puts them in a pretty bad spot, but let's see what they've got, I suppose. That will not do it. Let's go ahead and attack in with the Mercenary Gunship, and that's going to be a GG. Not exactly a fantastic start from us, but pretty clean game. I think if our opponent had more removal, I think that would have been a lot harder. Move on to the next. Moving on into the next matchup, we've got a match against the Palp Blue deck. So very much a control deck. We're going to resource this Waylay and one of these Snapshot Reflexes. We want our units down early and then to finish out with the Snapshot Reflexes and breaking ins. So we will see what our opponent has, but we're going to start off with a 3-2 with shield on turn 1, which is an excellent card. Inferno 4 is by far the type of card that we want to see. We are not in the space arena as of right now, and Hotshot Blaster's not a bad one either. We're just going to go ahead and get in for 3 immediately, and I think I'm just going to deploy this client. They're going to go Perilous Position. Let's go Boba Fett instead then, because we do have that Snapshot Reflexes, which could work nicely. 7 Fleet Defender, not a bad card. I think I actually want to resource this No Good To Me Dead and have multiple options here in terms of units. We're going to go Snapshot Reflexes to get in for 5 here. Top target on the Boba Fett. Let's go ahead and 7th Fleet Defender. Let's see what they have. Do they have a Power of the Dark Side? Because if they do, what do I want to do? Oh, they're going to go ahead and just kill or hit my shield off. Okay, not too big of a deal there. Power of the Dark Side, we'll get rid of that 7th Fleet Defender. And we will go ahead and attack in for 5. I mean, they could have a Fell the Dragon. If they have another Power of the Dark Side, it's not great for us. I actually think I want to get down the client here because I would like to have another ground unit to be able to play my Hotshot Blasters. Interesting. They're going to deal a damage to this Boba Fett. Do they have a takedown? Is that what they're looking for? Another top target here. Ooh, Waylay is an excellent draw. Okay, I am waylaying immediately on this Boba Fett here. Because I do not want them to heal 12. Vigilance. Vigilance doesn't do anything. They can mill and heal, but that's really not that strong. Wow, they milled us, huh? Yeah, I mean, that is not that strong at all. Let's go ahead and get down to GAR SAXON here. And let's attack. And let's get down to this Boba Fett here. Lurking TIE Phantom, not a bad draw, but I think we're going to be closing out the game this turn. There is a Darth Vader. Sure, you can go ahead and hopefully not have a Sentinel. Sentinel will be pretty good here. But they're going to be able to kill off that Boba Fett. Boba Fett down. And what do we want to do here? I think we just go Hotshot Blaster on GAR SAXON to hit in for 7. And then I suppose we can Hotshot Blaster on the client in for 5. And then we'll pass. Because the Hotshot Blasters will return to hand should we get Super Laser Blasts here. And I think I will resource one of probably breaking. Actually, no, I think I'll resource the TIE Advance. I just wanted to play a bunch of units when they go Super Laser Blast here, assuming they have it. If they don't have it, then the game is over, right? But I wanted to get as much damage because now if they go Super Laser Blast, we have a bunch of units, and one of them is a Lurking TIE Phantom, which is really important because that gives them. They don't have the out of Super Laser Blast into Super Laser Blast, which is really important. And it's all space units as well. So Reinforcement Walker doesn't quite do it. That's going to be a GAR SAXON in for 7. And that is going to be GG. So really nice one. On to the next. Into our next match. We've got a pretty decent TAM. I'm going to resource this Inferno 4 and this Dr. Evazan. And we get to choose between Dr. Evazan or the Crafty Smuggler here. Unfortunately, very much so, I think they're going to be able to defeat some sort of upgrade here, which really stinks, actually. So I'm going to go ahead and play out the Crafty Smuggler. They're going to attack our base, remove that shield token, which really stinks. Katsuonyo is probably the best card to see on my opponent's side of the battlefield for them. And we're going to see what we can do to follow that up. Resource the Lam Pike, I believe, since we did draw that TIE Advance. They're going to attack into the base to defeat that shield token. And I think we just have to kill the Ketsu here. We cannot afford for them to keep that around. And then we will get down this Toro here. They're going to be able to use the Bo-Katan action should they wish to do so. But they're instead going to claim initiative. We got the client here. Would have loved the client instead of Toro because the client is an Imperial unit and we cannot actually go with TIE Advanced on this turn. They're going to take down. We're going to go the client. So a little bit more controlling on my opponent's side of the battlefield, it looks like. And we're going to go ahead and claim initiative. Deal a damage to remove that shield. Very, very annoying, I'll say, deck to fight against in the Bo-Katan here. I like Lurking TIE Phantom. I think I'm going to have to go with Lurking TIE Phantom here. We will have to see what we can do here. They have takedowns. I think I'll go TIE Advanced. I think I'm just going to go with, okay, I need them to not have like a takedown here or a Fell the Dragon here because I need to get rid of the ability for them to attack every single turn. It makes it really, really tricky. And we will attack just to get rid of that unit. Seems like a pretty nice one for us to just get rid of. They got a Vambrace Grapple Shot, huh? So we're going to go ahead and claim initiative. And I think we will just go ahead and resource the client here because my plan is just to attack the Mandalorian Warrior. Ooh, and they do have a Sentinel in space here. covert strength. They're gonna go ahead and pump up Bo-Katan, it looks like. I think we'll go perilous position on the Bo-Katan. And they're going to claim initiative. So let's go 7 Fleet Defender. Let's attack into Bo-Katan, get 4 damage on it. And we're not going to attack with a TIE Advance. There's no real reason to do so. Waylay can be decent. I think I prefer that over the Super Commando Squad at this stage of the game. But we will see what they've got. We really want to get rid of this Bo-Katan because Bo-Katan can really do some major work against all of our units. Again, just removing a shield every single turn is just really obnoxious here. Wow, they're going to perilous position. Okay, I think that's okay because we will just go ahead and attack into the Bo-Katan and get rid of it. And now they've shrunk down the Survivor's Gauntlet, which isn't actually too bad of a situation for us. We're going to go ahead and get rid of that guy as well. And now they get a Sabine. So I think what we'll do is attack into their base here. And we will no good to me dead that Sabine, and I'll get a Long Pike down. And the reason I'm doing this is Long Pike can actually give a shield token to the Sabine potentially and the GAR SAXON, which will keep it alive against any other unit. Of course, they won't keep it alive against the Sabine. I can also give a shield token to the Survivor's Gauntlet to give a shield token to GAR SAXON and actually kill the Sabine, which might be something that I would consider as well. And then I can bounce the Survivor's Gauntlet, which isn't too bad of a play. Mandalorian armor, huh? Interesting. Very interesting. I think I will... What do I want to do here? I think I will... I think I want to waylay this. So we'll just attack them for 3. And we'll see what my opponent decides to do here. We're going to get the 7 Fleet Defender down. And I think we'll attack, give a shield token to the Sabine, which will then give a shield token to the GAR SAXON. And we're going to return that Sabine to my opponent's hand. Of course, they could get rid of that shield token on GAR SAXON with the attack from the Survivor's Gauntlet and Bo-Katan's trigger. But that's okay. That is okay. Because we are going to get in for 4 now with GAR SAXON. House Cast Soldier, huh? Okay, let's go Crafty Smuggler. Lurking TIE Phantom. And we're going to waylay back this Sabine to their hand. Super Commando Squad, not a bad card at all. I'm going to keep both of those in my hand. They have to kind of go for the attack onto the GAR SAXON with the Housecast Soldier. Yep. Let's attack with Long Pike. I'll give a shield token to the Survivor's Gauntlet to give a shield token to the Lurking TIE Phantom. Protect it because it's a little bit more important since this gets in for 4 versus this 3. And if they do go with a Bo-Katan ping, oh, he's going to give the shield token to the Crafty Smuggler. Haha, that's actually really clever. I hadn't thought about that. Very funny, but I don't know if that's really all that advantageous. I suppose. Let's go ahead and just kill the Sabine here. Get a Super Commando Squad down. And we will just go ahead and claim initiative. Armed to the teeth, huh? That is one gigantic Survivor's Gauntlet. Let's go ahead and just no good to me dead that Survivor's Gauntlet. Make sure they can't attack with it. They can't kill my Crafty Smuggler with the... they can't, is what I meant to say. Kill my Crafty Smuggler with their Mandalorian Warrior. But here what we can do is actually Maklunki the the crafty smuggler to prevent them from going Mandalorian armor. But does that even matter? Do they have something to actually kill us? I don't think so. I think we just can ignore them here and go for the win. Because they have Mandalorian armor in their hand. That's one of their cards. And we're just going to attack, and finish out the game. Yeah, I had thought about, I was thinking, oh, my opponent's moving their own upgrades around, but I forgot that you can actually go ahead and move my shield token to one of my other units. And I was like, what? But yeah, makes sense. That was a sweet game. On to the next. Into our next game, and we look like I have a pretty good hand here. I'm going to resource the Hotshot Blaster and this breaking in because I want to have the units here. And I do like the Dr. Evazan on turn 1. Remember, it's a 4-powered unit on turn 1, which means anything that my opponent plays basically on their side of the battlefield can just die to the Dr. Evazan. And then we have the nice combination of the Maclunky here. So Maclunky can go ahead and do some massive work by returning Dr. Evazan and refreshing that shield, essentially. Not exactly what I wanted to see as my draws, another Maclunky and a Waylay. I wanted to see more units. Would have loved to see like a 7th Fleet Defender here, but let's get in with the Dr. Evazan and see what my opponent decides to do. Hopefully they have a 3 toughness unit that we can go ahead and snipe with this Dr. Evazan, and yes, they do. So we will go ahead and kill that, and we will replay the Dr. Evazan with a shield token, right? So refreshing that shield token is really quite nice. No good to be dead, Waylay, and a tie advanced. I think this tie advanced is looking pretty bad, so let's go ahead and resource that one. And let's see what my opponent has. I mean, I think I'm just waylaying here. Them having Waylay is not that is exactly what I wanted to see, because now we get to go down, play both of our plays. And another situation where we drew another Dr. Evazan. Not the unit I wanted to see at all. Really, really poor draws here. But our opponent, we ended up with a really good starting hand, and we ended up really messing up my opponent in the beginning of the game, so that's quite nice. And oh man, they hit my Hotshot Blaster. That is quite unlucky, but hey, it happens. Let's go ahead and attack in with the Dr. Evazan here into the base and see what my opponent has. They're trying to deploy Boba, but they don't have the resources because it's 6 to deploy. They're going to claim initiative. We're going to go snapshot reflexes for 5. And we will go ahead and just waylay the scanning officer back to their hand. Just use up all of our resources here. Now, mind you, the GAR SAXON itself is an Imperial unit. So going ahead and flipping GAR SAXON and putting a tie advanced on it is a very strong play. And I think we are massively far ahead here, because if they go spend 4 resources to deal with this mercenary gunship and steal it, we just pay 4 to get it back. And they still have to deal with it. Which is really, really bad for them. So we're going to go ahead and attack, ignore the Millennium Falcon. They can go ahead and kill our mercenary gunship should they wish. We're going to go no good to me dead on Boba Fett. And they got Boba Fett's armor. Doesn't do anything, to be honest, because guess what? We've got the no good to me dead. So that Boba Fett's going to be tapped down forever, basically, because we have another no good to be dead in our hand. And now we get to go tie advance, which is going to give 3 additional power on our GAR SAXON. We're going to attack in for 7. And that is going to basically wrap up the game. I don't really know what they could have at this point to make it so that they have a way out, but pretty clean game from us. They got U-Wing reinforcements, probably their best card in this spot. They have to have something really insane, though, because we have a shield token on Dr. Evazan. We have a 7/9 GAR SAXON. And I mean, this is... Oh, they're just going to grab a Battlefield Marine and a Plo Koon. Yeah, I mean, you can attack for 7 on the GAR SAXON, but... oh, they just removed the shield token. GG, that is a pretty clean game. Not a single damage on our base, and not even close. Into our next matchup, we've got ourselves a match against Anakin Green, and I do very much like this hand in this spot. I think I'm considering resourcing this Dr. Evazan, but on the opposite side is Anakin, and he could start with an R2, so I think I actually want to keep the Dr. Evazan because, oh, that is horrible. That is like the card I did not want to see. Sabine is the card that you don't want to see when you're playing a bunch of shield tokens, because now they can go ahead and use the Anakin action to actually kill my Dr. Evazan if they want. Now, they will have to do that immediately, because if they don't, then we attack and they don't get to refresh their resources by killing Dr. Evazan. So they may be encouraged to try to play something before, but if they do that, then we get to kill their Sabine for free. And so I don't know if that's what they're going to do. My inclination is that they're just going to kill my Dr. Evazan with their Sabine. So Sabine is definitely by far their best turn 1 play here against my deck. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to go ahead and kill the Dr. Evazan, which is totally fine because we will go ahead and follow that up with the client here. Client comes down. It's a 3/5 shielded, and we'll see what my opponent has. R2D2, huh? R2D2, not exactly all that scary here. And an Anakin's Interceptor. Okay. And we've drawn ourselves a Lurking TIE Phantom and a Dr. Evazan. Not a fan of the Lurking TIE Phantom in this spot. Let's just go ahead and attack into their base for 3. And let's see what we've got to follow that up. R2D2 can go ahead and attack and get rid of that shield token if they want. They will go ahead and get rid of that shield token. Let's go ahead and play our Long Pike out. Long Pike can start giving shield tokens over to the Anakin's Interceptor and go ahead and give shield tokens to our units, which is going to be extremely advantageous. I love this snapshot reflexes here. And ooh, they're going to Bright Hope to draw a card. Oh, I don't know if I like that. That is really rough for my opponent, to be honest. That's like a really rough play for them. Let's go ahead and snapshot reflexes on the Long Pike. Give a shield token to the Interceptor. And then go ahead and give a shield token to my client. They could have like a Podameron here that they're going to ECL out. If they do, then it would be pretty tough to really deal with everything. Like, yes, they can go ahead and deal 2 damage, defeat an upgrade, and do a bunch of crazy stuff. But then we will just finish off the Podameron with the client. And then we are left with a Dr. Evazan and a Crafty Smuggler to follow that up. And we also have a Hotshot Blaster in the resource pile, which works well with the GAR SAXON. Now, they actually don't have too much here. Oh, I'm not even going to use the rest of my resources here. I'm just going to claim initiative here. R2D2 coming down yet again. Another Crafty Smuggler. A TIE Advance could be pretty nice here. Let's get rid of this Dr. Evazan. And we're going to just attack with Long Pike and give another shield token to the client here. Let's see what they've got. All right. Attack in with Long Pike. Give another shield token to that Anakin's Interceptor and 1 to my client here. And now we have 2 lethal threats with the Hotshot Blaster. And we have a bunch of shield tokens. So I don't see any out for my opponent here. They're going to say GG, and that was a pretty clean game. They had a nice start with a Sabine Wren, but then they just happened to have a lot of space units, and that ended up giving them no pressure on the ground. Or maybe they did have ground units and they just felt like they couldn't compete with the shield tokens. I am not sure. Honestly, I was waiting for the Podameron to be ECL'd out, and that would have made the game a lot more interesting. And I think we could have had some struggles if they did ECL out a Podameron, but they didn't. And that's going to be the end of the game. Into our next game, we got ourselves a matchup against Cad Bane Blue. Lots of more controlling decks out today. We're going to mulligan this first hand. And I do really, really like this second hand, actually. Let's go ahead and get rid of this Perilous Position and probably this Toro. And if they pass here, I think I just claim initiative because we have the Lurking TIE Phantom in hand. Unfortunately, they got a Bazine on turn 1, which is not what we want to see. Lurking TIE Phantom was the card that we really want to see. I really like my opponent just running out a card, though. I think a lot of people would just pass there, and then we would have taken initiative, and we would have been in a pretty nice spot, no doubt about it. Now, I do like where we're at still, but definitely something that would have been tricky for my opponent. So let's go ahead, and I think we just want to bounce the Dr. Evazan here so we can get rid of this Perilous Position, get rid of that Bazine, and then we'll just replay the Dr. Evazan. So that ended up working out pretty reasonably for us. They essentially saved 2 damage on their base by doing that, but still ended up being pretty good for us. Super Commando Squad, I think, is going to be the resource here. I don't know if I want something that expensive in this spot. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and finish off that Pike Sentinel. And we'll just go ahead and play out that Lurking TIE Phantom, and we'll see if my opponent has something for the 2 resources here. They're going to claim initiative. We're going to get out a Lurking TIE Phantom, and we're going to pass. Really, really like our spot here. The client, probably going to be the resource here. I think I want to keep this Cad Bane in for a little bit. Bosk, huh? Bosk is probably our nightmare scenario, to be honest. Extremely big nightmare scenario. Let's go Lurking TIE Phantom attack. And they have a Bazine. They're going to smuggle out. What are they going to take? I think you just don't take anything. Maybe you take the 7th Fleet Defender. I think that's a reasonable option. But yeah, them having a Bosk, they're going to be able to just do 2 damage to a bunch of random units. And that's going to be really, really rough for us. So do not like that at all. They took the 7th Fleet and it ended up giving us a perilous position, which is amazing because we can actually deal. Oh, they have a Maklunki. Ooh, really nice for our opponent to bounce and deal 3 to the Crafty Smuggler and kill it. I should have gone with the perilous position on Bosk first. That was a mistake by a large margin. That was definitely a mistake from yours truly. Let's go ahead and get rid of that no good to me dead. But our opponent really just having every single situation answered here. And they're going to go with another Bazine. They could take another 7th Fleet Defender. But I think it's a little bit risky to do that. Very risky to do that, to be honest. The Lurking TIE Phantom doing some work, though. Let's go ahead and attack in with the Lurking TIE Phantom. And to get a Cad Bane down, let's go ahead and get down our GAR SAXON. Are they going to attack? They are. And we will go ahead and Hotshot Blaster the GAR SAXON in for a 7-hitter. We'll go ahead and get the 7th Fleet Defender down, and we will pass. Waylay. We got the Cad Bane in hand, mind you. I think Cad Bane could be decent, but we will see here. Definitely a mistake. If we had that Crafty Smuggler, that would have been pretty nice for us, no doubt. Let's go ahead and attack it with the 7th Fleet Defender. They have the P-38 here. And I think what we'll do is just attack in to their base for 4. And we will just go Cad Bane, yoink, yoink. And if they have a 7th Fleet or a Super Laser Blast here, that's okay because we will get in with this TIE Phantom and we have some answers, right? Snoke, huh? Ooh, Snoke is quite excellent. So if I attach this is going to be 7 damage, and that's going to be the end of the game. GG. GG. A little bit of a mistake there by not going perilous position before our opponent goes with that Maklunki. That was about the only mistake I think that we made. Pretty nice hand that we had. Our opponent had a lot of things in the early game, and Bosk was the answer you wanted in that situation where we had that Dr. Evazan out, because they even got to go ahead and go with another play. But our opponent went with the smuggled out Bazine, which I wonder if they had anything different to do, because a 4 resource for Bazine is a little bit risky. And honestly, drawing us into the perilous position really, really ended up helping us. And that's one of those situations where I think our opponent could have gone with just not taking something, especially if they had that Snoke in hand, especially if they had other options as well. But I don't know what's in my opponent's hands, so maybe they just had to take the 7th Fleet Defender. But that did lose them the Bosk, right? And that's the thing, is we drew into something that could answer the Bosk, and therefore they couldn't keep their Bosk around to actually just completely annihilate us. Because if we played out the 7th Fleet Defender, we would have been in a much worse scenario than if they still had the Bosk. So on to the next one. Into our seventh game, last game. It's the last game, is what I meant to say. We've got a matchup against Cad Bane Red. We're going to resource the Super Commando Squad, and honestly, probably this breaking in. I know it could be good. I'm not going to pass. I'm not going to pass here. Well, let me think about this. Should I pass? I do have a 3 resource play and a Maklunki. You know what? I think we can pass. I think we can pass, and I think we can just stall out the game a little bit. Our opponent's not going to do anything. Now they're going to start with initiative, which is really, really nice for us. Let's resource this Long Pike. And our opponent's going to go with the Lady Proxima here. Okay. I think we will just go with the 7th Fleet Defender. They probably have a 2 resource play here. Mercenary Gunship. Sure. And we'll claim initiative. Perilous position, huh? Don't mind that one. Let's get rid of this Toro. Don't have an Underworld card right now. I think I'll just ignore the Mercenary Gunship for now and see what my opponent decides to do. Gotta see what my opponent has, really. They're gonna attack. Okay, that's fine. Let's go with probably just another 7-fleet defender. Target Town, not gonna get a whole lot of value here with all my shield tokens. Strafing Gunship, huh? Well, that's not normal. I would not have expected the Strafing Gunship. Let's go ahead and pass. Huh. Okay, Strafing Gunship is a little bit weird. Let's go Perilous Position on the Strafing Gunship. Strafing Gunship, huh? Lurking TIE Phantom is really what I want to see here. Absolutely what I want to see. Forlom. Coming in with the ambushing Forlom, huh? All right, we're going to go ahead and just finish off the Strafing Gunship. Let's go with the Crafty Smuggler and pass. Not what I want to be seeing here all that much, to be honest. Let's resource this Dr. Evazan. Really don't want to be playing Dr. Evazan into what they've got going on over there. Go ahead and play Bazine and see what they have. So they have a Ruthless Raider. Now there are 2 of them. I think I'll take the Ruthless Raider here. And they can... Now there are 2 of them, doesn't do anything. They can Makunki back there Forlom to kill Bazine and then replay Forlom, I suppose. Which isn't too bad. Are they going to use the Cad Bane trigger? Let's see. Oh, they're going to return the Lady Proxima, huh? And they're going to get rid of that shield token. Not too bad. Not too bad. Let's go ahead and get down on GAR Saxon here. Going to get down a Toro. Let's go ahead and kill off the Forlom. And I will actually go ahead and kill off Lady Proxima here. And let's pass. We now have the Cad Bane, which I do like a lot. It also is a bounty hunter, which isn't too bad at all. Attack for a nice chunk of 3 damage. Let's go ahead and just play Cad Bane. I'm not going to use Toro's ability because my opponent could just go ahead and finish off the Toro here. Tarkin Town, hit the Toro. Sure. All that makes a lot of sense. Bazine go into the resource pile. Let's go ahead and attack the Lady Proxima for 3 here. And then let's go ahead and play Crafty Smugs. Ooh, they're going to return the Lady Proxima, huh? To exhaust one of our resources. Yeah, that's pretty brutal because we actually do not have that much to work around here. Deal 2 damage to the Crafty Smuggler. Let's go ahead and smuggle out this Long Pike. They're going to claim initiative. We're going to pass. No Get to Me Dead is a nice one to have. Let's see. Oh, they're not going to return anything. Okay, makes sense. Let's go Perilous Position on the Cad Bane. Ruthless Raider, huh? Yeah, I don't think we're going to win this one. That is going to be GG. It is really tricky. Cad Bane with all the pings. Similar to the Mandalorian deck that we fought, Bo-Katan. Not much use for Tarkin Town, but also our whole deck is kind of revolving around these shield tokens. And so we're playing some of these units because they're going to get extra power and because they're going to do some stuff. But our opponent just had a lot to deal with that because they're playing Cad Bane, of course. And that's gonna be really tough for us who rely on all those shield tokens. Pretty awesome situation. Love the GAR Saxon Yellow. let's talk about the wrap up here. All right, so what do we learn with GAR, SAXON, Yellow? Well, it's actually just a pretty strong deck. I think one thing about this deck is against decks like Django and against decks that have these like single instances of damage, and then they're using that alongside Tarkin Town to really get some value, this deck is actually a lot better, right? 7th Fleet Defender no longer dies to Tarkin Town. You don't get absolutely overrun. You can't get your units exhausted from Django. Things like Ray Red coming in and attacking with these smaller units suddenly don't actually get you that effect of taking over the early game. The one exception to those Tarkin Town decks is Cad Bane, because they continuously hit you with pings and that continuously removes shield tokens. But of course, we have cards like Lurking TIE Phantom, which we saw against the Cad Bane blue player, I believe it was, where if you have cards like that where you can just soak up all of your opponent's interaction with the one ping being directed to the TIE Phantom, well, suddenly you are in a way better spot. But overall, if you're fighting more aggressive decks, more, curve out decks, like we saw against that Boba Yellow deck where turn 1, we had the Dr. Evazan and they played a Cloud Rider, which normally kills anything, right? 4 power on the ground, that's going to kill basically anything on turn 1. Well, our Dr. Evazan kills it and lives. And then they go with a Battlefield Marine. Suddenly we can Maclunky and then replay Dr. Evazan, so we completely annihilate their early game and we're left with a 4-3 shielded on the battlefield, which is crazy good. We even saw some of the new additions do some absolute work. Perilous Position, we all know how good that card is. We saw some situations where just exhausting something is really powerful. But Breaking In, again, another card that's absolutely insane. I'm not going to say that it absolutely won us a game, but I do think it potentially could have, especially in that double blue Obi-Wan game where we got in an attack for 7, I believe it was, maybe it was 6, with GAR SAXON, because they had 2 Sentinels on the ground arena, and that extra 6 or 7 damage, I can't remember. I think it was 6 damage actually with Breaking In, because I don't think we had any upgrades or anything on GAR SAXON. Well, that ended up putting us in a spot where our space units were just going to close out the game. And that definitely could have been a scenario where if they had drawn the Vigilance or something and killed a unit healed, we would not have been able to go ahead and get through their ground. Their ground had like 20 points of toughness to get through in terms of shielded, in terms of Sentinel toughness, if you include like some of the healings that they could do and things like that. Not to mention they had a bunch of restore units. So that crucial amount of 6 damage could have been the difference between winning and losing, and I think it was. So we even saw some value out of some of the set 3 cards. Overall, I think the deck is in a better position than it was in set 2. I think that is 100% true. If you fight against things like takedowns and Fell the Dragons and things like that, it's going to be a lot tougher because it just straight up goes through your shield tokens. And then your whole game plan of like trying to get benefit out of GAR SAXON kind of goes down the toilet. But we're not seeing as many control decks in the top of the meta. We're seeing Han Yellows, we're seeing Sabine Greens, we're seeing Tarkin Town decks, and this deck actually does decently against them. So I was pretty impressed, and I can definitely see how you can take down an entire planetary qualifier with GAR SAXON Yellow. Much, much better, I think, overall than like a Django Blue that we played the other day. I think this one is more exciting to me, but let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all for the next one.